Hey guys, so I just wanted to give you a quick update on my Honda Accord 92EX 2.2 liter. I have gone ahead and dropped out the transmission and I have went ahead and put the new transmission on. I want to show you where I'm at, give you a little update and kind of show you some of the things that I did in order to get it where it's at and then some of the new parts that I've gotten for it. So right now we've got the engine and the transmission flat and level onto the ground. That made it easiest in order to get the transmission off in the first place. It has about 6 to 7 major bolts that come out, and then the flywheel comes off, and then it just slides easily out. You can replace it back. I took a couple items off for clearance issues. I ended up taking the throttle body off. I took the solenoids off, and a couple of other items just so it would smoothly go out through the passenger side. Also ended up taking the mounts off, the transmission side mount, the rear mount, the engine side mount, and the anti-torque strut in the front. I also disconnected the coolant lines, the fuel lines, and any of the other sensors on the firewall there. On the front, I ended up taking off the 2 fans that were here, and then of course disconnecting the other sensors and electrical issues here. I took the battery out in the beginning. That was my first step, and disconnecting it as well as some of the grounds. At this point, I want to show you, we have it leveled here. We pulled out everything, of course, from the passenger side. That is the easiest way to access it. Removed the entire wheel hub assembly here. The ball joint here will need to be replaced. It's got a little bit of breakage here on the little seal. It's still in good condition enough that it's working, but as far as long term, it's not going to last. But I do want to address just the transmission and the engine, getting those up in there and starting the vehicle before I go to another project. I can always take the wheel hub off, that's no problem, in order to access that. The other ball joint that I have that is another issue is the one actually on the wheel hub itself, behind the rotor. The ball joint here, the gasket, of course, is messed up as well. And as far as removing this, I'm quite sure we're going to have to press it out. And that's just going to be kind of a pain in the butt. So if it comes down to it, I can still use this. It's not the best, but it will be something that I do address after the fact of the transmission. The passenger side CV axle, the boot on it had torn. It also had disconnected completely from itself up top. So I went ahead and got a new CV axle. That way I didn't have to worry about it. However, I'm going to keep this one and rebuild it and get a new boot kit. The hoses are in good condition. Weren't any breakage or major bulging. I also removed the main support beam from underneath, and that of course you have to do in order to access the transmission properly. I've also organized the nuts and bolts this time on this disassemble. It's made it so much easier. So basically I have all the nuts and bolts just kind of labeled to where I know where they go. And this just takes a little bit of stress off you so you're not wondering where the nuts and bolts went and feeling like you went nuts and bolts. I took out the compressor, the alternator, and the power steering pump. All 3 of those had to come out in order to access it and drop it completely. I also ended up getting an oil pan gasket. I got that so I could replace it. The one that's on there now has some major leakage, and it only made sense while I have the engine out and up to go ahead and replace that. I also got the rear mainsail, but I'll probably end up working that on another weekend. Here are the mounts I got. This is the anti-torque strut in the front. This is the rear mount. This actually has, my model version has a solenoid valve on there, which is nice. I also got the timing belt. I went ahead and got that. It only makes sense to replace it since it's already down and out. I won't have to bother with that. Here's the CV axle for the passenger side, brand new. And in order to drop the transmission completely, you will have to end up getting inside the vehicle into the dash cover. So I ended up taking the entire dash cover off in order to get the shift linkage cable out. There was only about 1 screw, and then there was a clamp that held it in place. This was easy to access. I was able to use the shift lock release to remove this back to 1 in order to get it out completely. And that didn't give me any problem. The only thing is you have to get underneath the vehicle, behind this heat shield here, drop the muffler, and you can remove the 2 bolts that hold in the shift linkage cable, and that'll just drop out really easy. Once you get the dash cover off, you won't have to worry. These are my floral pattern doors, as you can see. Other than that, I think I kind of covered all the basics with you guys. Disconnect your battery, get out the major components, take alternator, compressor, power steering pump, any of the electrical, fuel lines, the coolant lines. You'll see what I mean. I mean, you can see around the vehicle anything that's attached, and you just disconnect that. As where we are now, I'll end up probably getting the mounts in and lifting her up tonight. And then after that, it's just reattaching all the coolant lines, fuel lines, all the electrical sensors. And then as I go, I'm also going to be cleaning up as well, just so I feel a little more confident in her and kind of want to make her look pretty. But I love my Honda. She has done great for me over the last couple years. My previous video, I replaced my TCU. I replaced the resistors and the capacitors on the TCU. That went over really well. I never had any problems. The only reason I'm replacing the transmission now is due to a friend who accidentally shifted it into reverse while it was going about 80 miles per hour. So it grinded away the gear. And actually the reverse gear that I need, from what I have found online, is no longer in production, which hopefully I can find something eventually, because I would like to rebuild this transmission as a backup. I like having backups. Anytime I replace something, if it's an item that I can use again by just simply either, putting a boot kit on a CV axle or rebuilding a transmission, I want to do that. I want to be able to have a backup item for even the fact that I still have a new item. So once I get the engine and the transmission up, I'll try to get another video up for you guys to kind of show you where everything is at and how it's looking, how it's running. But just wanted to say thank you for all the positive comments on the previous video, and I want to say thanks to everyone who is just positive. I really appreciate all those comments, and I thank you guys. I hope that this helps you in some way, whether it be to motivate you or whether it be to kind of give you an idea of what's going on in my garage. But I don't see me ever getting rid of my Honda, so I'm sure I'll have a couple more videos up over the time being and getting some other stuff going on with it. Hopefully in the future I can work on the suspension and get her a little more rugged. But again, thank you guys. I hope this helps you. Everything that you do, be safe. I've got Honda supported by a couple jacks in the back. I've got her lifted in the back. I've got the hydraulic jack on her just as safety precautions on both sides. So whatever you do, just be safe, have fun, take your time, and breathe. If you ever get stalled out, just calm down, know you can do it. If somebody did it before you, you can do it. So no worries. Good luck, guys, with everything that you do. And again, I appreciate all the positivity and the great comments. You guys make me feel great about that, and it makes me want to work on my car even more. So good luck with everything you do. Be safe, have fun, and happy car working.